Welcome to the third and last planned video for the paper of many parts. There we go. All right, so this video is a few tips part by part. Let's make sure that you're even ready for this video before we get into it. So at this point, you have chosen your question, you chose the question, you conducted research, you collected sources, and you narrowed them down, which is largely what the previous two videos were about. So now we're entering into the pre-writing process, and I highly recommend you try a brain dump on your own. This is what we did in class when I gave you, like a minute, or I counted to 60 or whatever, and you had that amount of time to get on paper as much as you could about your topic. I definitely recommend trying it because I think after all of this research and being, very conscientious of this question that you've chosen, I think you might surprise yourself with how much you can write in, 2 or 3 minutes, some kind of set amount of time. And then you can take your brain dump and turn that into a rough outline of your actual paper. And as a tip, I would like to suggest you write your introduction last, which I know doesn't quite make sense in, the spread of things, but I think it's easier because if you have the whole paper done, then you have a paper to introduce instead of introducing something that doesn't actually exist yet. And with that being said, I believe your thesis is going to come to you. With this kind of paper, I think a working thesis would be a good idea before you start writing anything else. But I also think that after you write your entire paper, you may be able to find your thesis. And if you write your entire paper and you don't know what you're arguing and you can't write a thesis, then that is valuable information, because if you can't write your thesis, then you don't have an argument. So we'll talk about these thesis statements soon, but thesis will come. All right, so one more time, let's review all of our parts. Part A is the introduction. Part B is the background or history of your topic. Part C is the actual bulk of your paper, argument with naysayers. D is call to action or conclusion, and of course, we always end with our works cited page. So let's talk about introductions. Think about the greatest movie trailer you've ever seen. That movie trailer that hooked you so much so that you went to the movie theater and spent $73 on a single ticket, a bucket of popcorn, and a giant Coke. And then the movie actually followed what the trailer said it would. That's what we're going for here. There are good trailers and there are bad trailers. The bad ones don't make sense. The bad ones don't actually tell you what the movie is going to be about, but they've tried. So avoid the bad kind of movie trailer and introduce your actual paper. And always end with your thesis statement. So as always, I highly recommend going to this page. It is linked on Moodle. You can also just Google UNC handouts introductions, and this will be the first thing that comes up. But this gives you this is how you should write this, and this is how you shouldn't write this. So definitely recommend that. All right, now this is a big slide. Let's look at thesis statements. As a review on top there, argument, roadmap, text. Your thesis statement will have all 3 pieces. That translates to one sentence that includes what you believe about your topic and how you're going to persuade your audience. So you have to include your topic, how you're going to argue, and then what you're actually arguing, okay? This sentence has to stand alone for it to be any good. What does that mean? It means that if I literally took scissors to your paper, printed out paper, and I cut out the last sentence of your thesis, of your introduction, which is your thesis statement, I should know what question you chose. That's the clearest way I know to explain it. I should know which question you chose because of your thesis statement alone, what you're going to argue, and how you're going to prove it. As always, one more time, UNC has a great page about thesis statements, which I highly recommend you going to. One more time, it is on Moodle, and you can also Google UNC handouts thesis statements, and it'll take you there. And then I have one other resource on Moodle in this section, but it's just a simple document, I think it's only 2 pages long, that can help you write out a thesis statement. It goes step by step and kind of gives you a template on how to write a thesis statement for this paper. All right, now part B, the background or the history section. So what do I need to know? I, as your reader, what prior knowledge do I need to have going into your argument? This section is going to be the facts. This section is going to be void of your opinion. There is no argument here. It's just the facts, okay? This should be more than 1 paragraph. I have yet to see a solid part B written in 1 paragraph. So please keep that in mind when you change topics, when you change direction, you change the idea, the point that you're trying to make, you need to change paragraphs. All right, now part C, the argument with naysayers. This is where you lay it on thick. This is where you prove your point. This is where you support your thesis statement. The naysayer thing. Most of us call those counter arguments, but our textbook, They Say I Say, which we have not officially touched, I hope that you have touched it as your own writing process, but all of the chapters are on YouTube. So it's chapter 6, I believe. Yes, chapter 6, Planning a Naysayer. Watch this video or read the chapter so that you can insert your naysayer well. They are going to give you templates on how to actually do that, like literally words with blanks in them, or sentences with blanks in them, so you can use their wording and fill in the blanks. All right, very last one, your conclusion. This is going to be your call to action. What should I do with this information? Conclusions, to me, are very hard because you don't want to repeat yourself, right? You just want to reiterate what you've already said. So one more time, go to the UNC handouts page. UNC handouts conclusions, also linked on Moodle. Again, it gives you a this is what you should do and this is what you shouldn't do section. So please, please, please take advantage of this. All right, now works cited page. This is what the other 2 videos were about in a roundabout way, but minimum of 5 citations. Please use OWL MLA to check your sources. There are so many generators out there that have not been backed up, they have not been updated to the latest version. So if you use them, just check them, make sure they got it right. You also want to put all of your citations in alphabetical order. All of them should be hanging, which means the first line is all the way to the left and everything else is tabbed over, and then that it resets for every citation. And say it with me, all citations end in a period. Please remember this. It's such a simple little thing. When you remember it, I get pretty excited. So please, please, please end all of them with a period. Now, I'm very excited about this piece. I went through some of the earlier papers of many parts that I have access to, and I found one that was one of my favorites. And I restructured it to match the structure that you need to have for this paper. And it is completely available to you, and all of those red marks are like my commentary that I was able to add in. So you can see all of this at play. You can see an entire example paper, even down to how it should be formatted. The works cited page is on point. Everything, I mean, it's a good paper. I do want to point out that they did not have to have a certain number of sources from the databases. So this one has a lot of sources, but I think only 1 or 2 are actually from the databases. So please remember that's different for your paper. You've got this, guys. This is the last piece. Please post your questions to the paper, to the Paper of Many Parts Q&A forum, and keep working. You got it.